Welcome to the Anime Audiophile Podcast. Please like and subscribe for more. Thank you. Shikamaru Hiden, a cloud drifting in the silent dark. Shikamaru Chapter 1. Intense fighting spread out all around him. In the midst of the clanging of blades smashing against blade, of the back and forth of angry roars, Shikamaru stared at Jingo. Are you saying that a world where shinobi are being persecuted is acceptable? Jingo shouted, pushed to the edge. In his look of desperation, brow furrowed, blue vein popping up on his forehead, there wasn't a shred of the divine solemnity Shikamaru had felt until moments earlier. Maybe it was because Shikamaru had been awakened from the genjutsu, but it really did look like all hint of ambition had vanished from Jingo. What are you panicking about? What? You're so desperate, it's pathetic. Who? Jingo faltered before a groan slipped out from between his clenched teeth. Those who have gained superhuman powers, as the ninja have, are destined to be feared by normal people. This fear becomes discrimination, and discrimination begets control. If we don't take a stand now, the ninja will be forced into ever more distress. The thing is, his spine cracked as he cocked his head to the right, his eyes never straying from Jingo. I think it'd be better if there were no more ninja. What are you saying? You're not a ninja anymore, are you? NGH, again, Jingo faltered. His ridiculous countenance brought a smile to Shikamaru's own face. I mean, you went to all the trouble of bringing all these ninja together. You used this union, and you could have war under control pretty quick. In the short term, you'll never know unless you try. Jingo's hand reached up toward his own back, like he was grabbing something. A kunai. Shikamaru's relaxed eyes grew tense. When they locked him up in that jail cell, he had been relieved of anything that might have been called a weapon. Shikamaru. Tamari's voice. Shikamaru glanced over to find something flying straight at him. The instant it came within reach, he reached up into empty space with his right hand. A kunai. Tamari laughed. A pause. As he turned, he saw Jingo leap forward. Space. Shikamaru flew. Sparks flashed as their kunai crashed into each other. It's because there's fighting that ninja like us exist. Babbling fool, Jingo said, voice full of violence. Both fighters slashed with their kunai to try and shred the other. And then they were back on the ground again, maintaining the same distance they had before. Neither paused to glare at the other, however. They kicked at the ground at the same time and raced toward each other. Shikamaru thrust his kunai at Jingo's face, a face contorted with bloodlust. Their aim was the same. Jingo pushed his own kunai toward Shikamaru's face. Shikamaru tilted his head the tiniest bit to evade it. But the blade ripped a straight line across his cheek, a splash of blood dancing upward. In front of him, Jingo bore a similar cut on the opposite cheek. Shikamaru grabbed Jingo's outstretched wrist with his left hand. Similarly, Jingo caught Shikamaru's right wrist in his left hand. They glared at each other, arms outstretched toward each other's face. A single step to end all our fighting. That's the alliance. First, the ninja come together, and then we push that circle out to bring in the daimyo and the citizens. Later on, when the world is one, us ninja are totally going to disappear. It might not happen in my lifetime, but it's definitely going to happen in the lifetime of my children or grandchildren. This world is too harsh for such idealism to actually work. Isn't that ambition of yours pretty idealistic? The corners of Jingo's mouth were pulled up to the point where it was bizarre. It was much too wicked to be called a smile. It's pointless to try and cast genjutsu on me. Well, listen, Shikamaru. The greater the possibility of realizing it, the more value any ideal possesses. The ideal you state is like trying to grab onto the clouds. Your ideal and mine, the difference between them is like that between the heavens and the earth. You're pretty foolish, huh? He who does not realize his own foolishness is the true fool. So then that means you're foolish, right? Jingo's lips twitched. Here he comes. Shikamaru's wrist creaked in pain as he thrust his kunai forward. Jingo had locked his joints with his left arm. Turning the wrist Shikamaru still clutched, Jingo pointed the tip of his kunai at the hollow of Shikamaru's neck. Wrist still held fast by Shikamaru, he made deft use of his fingertips and pushed the blade toward Shikamaru's neck. Shikamaru had no time to dodge it. He twisted his body in the same direction his wrist was twisted and flew. Using Jingo's right arm as an axle, he leapt, rotating counterclockwise. Evading the kunai and flying through space, Shikamaru's feet came crashing in toward the top of Jingo's head. Releasing Shikamaru's wrist, Jingo brought his left hand up to cover his head. Shikamaru's power kick landed on Jingo's arm, and a thick cracking sound filled the air around them. That was not the end of it. Shikamaru twisted the leg he had kicked out in defense and kicked with his other leg at Jingo's side. Jingo took a step backward. Shikamaru hit the ground and kept moving. He quickly squatted down and shot out his right leg. He spun and swept Jingo's legs out from under him, a copy of the barrage of lions that Uchiha Sasuke had shown him during their Chunin exams, with a little spice from Naruto for the Uzumaki Naruto barrage. It went well. His shins severely beaten, Jingo fell onto his backside. Shikamaru pounced. He crouched and brought his kunai to the other man's throat. If Jingo tried to move even a millimeter, Shikamaru would kill him without hesitation. Why don't my words reach you? Jinjutsu only works on guys who've got a crack in their heart. But everything you've said and done since that woman appeared, you're nothing but cracks. You really are a fool, huh? Sighing, Shikamaru smiled at Jingo. My heart is basically a bunch of cracks and gaps. No. Maybe not gaps, exactly. It's like, my heart's so full of gaps there are no gaps at all. Although someone as puffed up and full of himself as you wouldn't get that. That is staring you in the face right now, so get used to it. Your words don't reach me anymore. Beads of sweat oozed from Jingo's forehead. The truth is, I'd rather not be doing this. I'd rather be just living my life how I do. But, those thoughts always smoldering somewhere in your heart, Shikamaru told himself, you cut them off here and now. He was ready. It looks like I can't live like that. People always ended up counting on him, so he had no choice but to do something. Every no choice had piled up and made him into who he was now. So it was hopeless. He was stuck. He had never really thought things through past this vague point, so he had endlessly remained unresolved, always half-baked. He had been wrong, fundamentally and utterly wrong. The only one who could take care of his dreams was him. And Shikamaru's dream of a somehow just right life had not come true. But wasn't that okay? Because Shikamaru had found a new dream. From now on, my life's about building a world that'll let all those guys who just want to live lazy, easy lives do exactly that. I'm going to end this fighting and bring this world together. And then I'm gonna make it a place where everyone dreaming of living a regular life without any special dreams can live how they want. He would protect the happiness of all those people and their ability to live just right lives. He was satisfied with this new dream of his, it was very him. All he had to do to realize it was to make Naruto the Hokage, become a master, train Mirai, and end up as a ninja who wouldn't bring shame to his father or Asuma. It was the opposite of the order he had been working in. Up to that point, he had felt pressure from outside, based upon which he had set his own framework and tried to live within it without shame, which was exactly what gave rise to all the contradictions. His own dreams couldn't come from the outside world. The outside world was what lay beyond his own dreams. I've finally busted out. So what does that matter? Shikamaru suddenly heard gentle murmuring from behind him, mingled with bloodlust. He leapt away from Jingo. The claws of a tiger ripped through the air in the place where his head had just been. An ink-black tiger. I won't let you kill Lord Jingo for such a lazy dream. Sai. Shikamaru pulled himself to his feet and faced Sai, who stood before him with brush and scroll at the ready. Lord Jingo! Hurry and set your will before these foolish Sunagakure ninja. Jingo nodded and ran up the stairs, climbing to the throne in a single burst. Hear me! He spread out his arms. All of you. A lecture. As if I'm gonna let you. I won't allow you to get in the way. Shikamaru went to climb the stairs, and Sai moved to block him. Do! Sai's brush moved, and a tiger surged from the scroll. This new tiger and the one that had tried to tear his head off came at Shikamaru at the same time. From the top of the stairs, Jingo began to speak in a loud voice. Unless Shikamaru stopped him, the sand ninja would have their movement sealed by his jinjutsu. Something flashed in him suddenly. Listen, Temari! Shikamaru shouted, not knowing where she was. He casts jinjutsu with words. Wipe out his words with your wind. Got it. He heard her powerful voice from surprisingly nearby. In the next instant, fierce gales began to gust the length and breadth of the hall, overlapping and building on each other. Temari's awe-inspiring winds drowned out anything Jingo tried to say. Slipping past tiger claws, Shikamaru gazed up at the top of the stairs. Jingo was trying to set off for greener pastures, having grasped that his voice wasn't reaching anyone. Damn it! Shikamaru moved toward the staircase, but Sai's sketched tigers stopped him. I absolutely will not let you pass. Open your eyes already, Sai. It is all of you who must open your eyes. Sai was completely trapped in Jingo's jutsu. A gust several times stronger than any preceding it blew up from behind Shikamaru. The ink tiger became a spray and disappeared like mist. Leave him to me. Go after that guy. Temari flew out in front of Shikamaru and faced Sai squarely. Temari, thank me later. Hurry! Got it, he said, and raced toward the stairs. Shikamaru. Stop. Oopsie. Your opponent's right here. Temari opened her fan to cut Sai off. Shikamaru turned his gaze on the two of them once more before sprinting up the stairs, eyes unwaveringly forward. Shikamaru Chapter 2. Temari was relieved. They made it just in time. After discussing Shikamaru with Gaara, she had gone to Konoha and questioned Naruto. He knew nothing. But like Temari, he felt like something was up with Shikamaru. He talked to Ino and Choji, which only solidified that impression, so he went to press Kakashi for answers. Pushed by a fearsome Naruto, who had dragged Temari, an outsider, along for the chat, Kakashi listened carefully to Temari's proposal that the Sand Shinobi mount a rescue before finally making a decision. He agreed to the dispatch of the Sunagakure ninja on the condition that they do nothing to make the situation worse. Before coming to Konoha, she had made arrangements so that the shinobi of the village could be mobilized quickly. Once she got Kakashi's approval, she sent up a signal to the village and started running toward the Land of Silence. Along the way, she joined up with the Sand Ninja, led by Gaara. Soon after they arrived in the Land of Silence, they kidnapped whoever was handy and questioned them. More than 10 days had passed since Shikamaru left, and Temari was starting to panic. The questioning turned into interrogation. A man calling himself a revolutionary soon spit up the information that ninja from Konoha were being held in the castle. Once they knew that, the rest was easy. They rode an airship of sand created by Gaara and infiltrated the castle, just as Shikamaru was in the middle of his little chat with Jingo, the ruler of this land. Together with her comrades, Temari drove off the people guarding the passage that led to the Great Hall and peeked inside. She could hardly stand it as she watched Shikamaru seemingly moved by Jingo's talk about the world being ruled by shinobi. Shikamaru's not the sort of guy to be led around by a man like that. An almost violent rage took her over. She blew the doors open and flew into the hall. The relief she had felt when she heard it was a jinjutsu. Eyes open now, Shikamaru was back, the man Temari had always known. Just seeing him take on Jingo with apathetic eyes and blood running from his nose, she felt like it had been worth it to come all that way. I don't have time for your wool gathering, the Konoha man snarled at her, clumsy smile on his lips. The brush he clutched had already produced more than a few tigers and wolves. And again, it set free a white tiger bearing malicious fangs. She'd seen the animals he drew before all this, but the ones he drew today all had an unprecedented evil look to them. Pretty sure his name's Sai. A ninja on the same team as Naruto and Sakura. I'm not the sort that gets taken down by some one-hit wonder, she muttered as she used her entire body to wave her fan. The wind changed and transformed into a weasel with teeth like sickles. The weasel whirled around and around, slashing at the throat of the tiger before it. Instantly, the tiger became ink and fell to the ground. It's almost charming how you don't hold back. Sai's voice. Tight smile on her face, Temari looked in the direction of that voice. He's not there. Where had he gone and when? She didn't have time to chase him down with her eyes. A momentary body from a black mist. There is no ninja who can hold it completely. From behind. She wouldn't make it. Okay. Here we go. She knew she was going to be cut from behind. From the right? From the left? She gambled. Praying the slash wouldn't come from the right, she leaned hard to that side. The tiger's claws ran past her left shoulder, very nearly scraping it. You're soft, Sai said, in a voice so cold it gave her chills. At some point, he had come to stand in front of her. God damn it. She threw up her fan as a shield, still leaning to the right. It was made from a fabric so tough an iron blade couldn't pass through it, plenty of protection against the thrust of a kunai. But, gah! A sharp pain pierced her abdomen. Sensitive chakra manipulation. It's my specialty, Sai said, innocently. The kunai in his hand had torn through the fan and was sticking out Temari's stomach, a hazy mist of sorts covering the blade. Chakra. By covering the blade in chakra concentrated enough to be visible, he could impart a strength and sharpness dozens of times greater than normal. No matter how hard you all fight, you're no match for Lord Jingo. At some point, we revolutionaries will rule over this world. Do you really believe that? Sai said, smile firm on his face. This wasn't simply a matter of being under a genjutsu. Sai's entire face was colored with an unshakable faith in Jingo. But then why are you crying? What? Temari hadn't missed the tears sliding out of the corner of his right eye and down his cheek. Somewhere deep in his heart, Sai was conflicted. I'm not crying. Sai shoved the kunai deeper. Her breath stopped. Would you wake up already, i.e. An angry howl. Sai disappeared abruptly from Temari's view, leaving only his kunai plunged in her belly. You okay? Someone was supporting her as her body pitched forward. As Sakura? Don't talk. I'll plug up this hole in your stomach. Sakura pulled the kunai out and quickly touched the opening of the other woman's wound. A wave of warm chakra gently wrapped Temari's abdomen. What about Sai? It's okay. I came with friends. Huh? Temari turned her eyes in the direction Sai had disappeared. Sakura's punch had sent him flying and now someone was holding down her former enemy. A giant. She was pretty sure he was Shikamaru's friend. Choji. Keep him down, a female shinobi with long hair shouted from behind the giant man holding Sai down, both hands spread out. It'd be very annoying if anyone were to say that the ninja of Konoha didn't move when Shikamaru was in danger, Sakura said, placing her hands on Temari's stomach again. Two battered ninjas stood behind her, an angular middle-aged man and a girl much younger than Temari. Withstanding the pain in her stomach, Temari turned toward Sakura. He uses genjutsu, I heard from these two. The ninja standing behind her nodded. Right. Prep okay, the female ninja said to Choji, and then extended a hand towards Sai. He kicked and struggled beneath the giant, face full of bloodlust. Temari could see fangs glittering slickly through the lips of his clenched jaw. Ninpo. Mind transmission jutsu, the female ninja shouted. Once Ino activates that jutsu, it'll all be fine, Sakura murmured. Choji pulled himself away from Sai. Sai stood up. Instantly, Ino shuddered sharply as if hit by lightning and stopped moving. Her body froze, palms still turned towards Sai. There, all better. Sakura took her hands away. The pain in Tamari's stomach had vanished. Infinity, she dove deeper and deeper. She still couldn't find Sai. Diving and still nothing but darkness. This was Sai. Even at the best of times, he wasn't fully aware of his true self. She knew she wouldn't find him with just a little gentle prodding. Even still, she had to help him. If I don't, there was no point in me coming here. Ino struggled urgently in the back of Sai's consciousness. Her mind transmission jutsu, which allowed her to dive into the mind of her enemy and move them with her own volition, could also have an effect from the inside on her opponent's mind. She had realized this at their Chunin exam, when she dove into Sakura's mind only to have to fight that mind with her own. When she saw the letter he had sent, filled with an oblivious pathos, Ino had understood Sai's conflict so well it hurt. At that time, she still didn't know anything about this man Jingo or his Jinjutsu, but she felt like she had to go. Naturally, she had wanted to rescue Shikamaru, but what moved Ino to action was that letter so full of Sai's struggle. He had always been troubled by his own emptiness, and now Sai was more deeply immersed in Jingo's Jinjutsu than anyone else. She was the only one who could save him. Which was why she kept diving so deep, and then deeper still. If she dove too deep, she would lose the sharp focus of her own self, she would fade and be caught in her opponent's mind, never to return. She had a reason for taking this risk to help Sai. I want to talk with him more. She wanted to know more about Sai and the slightly sad smile he always wore. She couldn't just leave him behind in a place like this. In the true darkness, a depth untouched by even a single ray of light, she felt a faint warmth. Naruto's chakra. Sakura's was mixed in there too. Yamato. Kakashi. The chakra of the ninja of Konoha blended together, a flame burning in the middle of a blizzard. As if seeking that faint warmth, Ino turned toward the chakra mixture. He was there. With all five senses, she felt Sai curled up in the cocoon of warm chakra. This way, Sai. She thrust out a desperate hand. Sai lifted his face at the sound of her voice. He was crying, eyes puffy and red. Come on, come with me. Your legs still crossed, he didn't reach out to her. Ino grabbed his shoulders tightly. Let's go. Sai smiled. A natural smile, the sort she'd never seen on him before. Infinity, as if desperate for oxygen, as if coming up from the bottom of the sea, Ino sought air with her whole body. And then the darkness broke and her view was flooded with light. Enemies and allies fought without mercy. Protected by Choji and Sakura, Ino sat next to the head of a sleeping Sai. How'd it go, Ino? She heard Choji's voice, but didn't have the strength to answer. Sai slowly opened his eyes. She grabbed his hand. Sai. You, Sai murmured absently, hand still in hers. You're safe now, Ino said, tears spilling out of her eyes. Thanks, beautiful. Idiot, they smiled quietly at each other. End of chapters 1 and 2. Thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe for lots more.